excerpted a panel from a page called "Don't Get Around Much Anymore," which is drawn in what I guess we might think of as a cubist or Art Deco kind of style. Not as diagrammatic as that floor plan, but certainly diagrammatic. How do you think of that notion of the cartoon as a diagram?
Well, it's one of the distinctions you were pointing out between Gary and I. Like, Gary's a painter, so he has an inhaler, and I'm a person who's like a Popeye pipe. But basically, that comic strip was a result of the exposure that I was mentioning previously to Ken Jacobs, who's a filmmaker who's very inspired by the abstract and was part of the abstract expressionist generation of painters, and opened up a world of paintings. And he eventually convinced me that painters are just cartoonists who do big panels. I've since found out different, but at the time it was a useful revelation to think of Picasso as just making very large panels one at a time instead of working on a page with lots of boxes. And it led me into a rather late discovery of art. Prior to that, I was a kind of slob snob. I was interested in junk culture detritus only, and was very suspicious of painting as a kind of con job being put over on us lower middle class kids. And after I started looking at that stuff and getting interested in what it was, I then realized that living out in San Francisco was very similar to living in Paris in the 1920s. And I got excited about modernism and thought maybe it would be interesting to make that part of comics culture, the things that I was discovering in painting. And this page specifically was probably one of the most hard-won pages I ever made. It was a result of about 6 or 7 months of reading about this stuff, looking at Cubist paintings, and trying to figure out some aspects of Cubism that could find themselves applied into my idiom. And one of the things I found by doing this is, you mentioned Art Deco, and I wasn't aware of Art Deco especially. What happened was, by trying to distill some lessons from Cubism, I ended up sort of having to reinvent a version of Art Deco, because basically Art Deco itself was an outgrowth of the Egyptian style, as Henri Rousseau referred to Picasso's paintings. So this page very specifically was trying to find out when what would happen when the words and pictures didn't have to stay in tight conjunction with each other, what would happen when you splayed a narrative out on a page the way a painting of a bottle could be splayed out on a page by the Cubists. And more I became aware of and interested in the fact that these were not exactly drawings like Picasso was making. They were picture signs. And somehow this was all connected to that.